Let's talk about relapsing. What's going on, everyone? I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about relapsing. Because recovery can be so new to some of us, we sometimes turn back to old habits, and that's what creates a relapse. But this can be considered a normal part of recovery. We're only human, we're gonna make mistakes, and this can be an experience to learn from. According to the National Eating Disorders Collaboration, relapsing is a normal part of recovery, as I said, and is an opportunity to learn from the experience and improve your skills regarding what to do next time. You are at a higher risk for relapsing depending on the amount of time you've had the eating disorder, the age you were when developing this eating disorder, where you were treated, how you carry out your exercise regime after treatment, whether you have increased your focus on your body image after recovery, your self-esteem, and the occurrence of certain stressors in your life. I don't think this will come as a shock to most of you, but when you develop stressful situations in your life, it can be easy to just turn back to old habits. And I would say that this is true for any type of addiction, not just eating disorders. And of course, your self-esteem is going to play a role in how you deal with recovery and relapsing, because if you still don't feel confident in yourself and your body and the way that you look at your body, you're going to be more inclined to want to change that look and that appearance. And that's potentially what got you into the eating disorder in the first place. The amount of time that you've had the eating disorder is going to play a part, because the longer you do something, the more of a habit it becomes. And the older you were when you developed the eating disorder, the more likely you are to relapse, because the older you are, the more adult type habits you developed. And that means that they're easier to turn back to than something you might have developed when you're younger. I'm gonna throw some statistics out there, and then I'm gonna decode all of this jargon and tell you what it means to me. According to the National Eating Disorders Collaboration, there's about a 41% chance of relapsing within the first 18 months of recovery for anorexia, I'm talking about. In longer follow-up studies, around a 5-year period, there was up to a 57% chance of relapse, and the rate of mortality for all the studies is about 5%. These numbers are pretty high, and the statistics are actually very daunting. When I was reading them, I was very shocked, actually. I think that relapsing for eating disorders in general is probably higher than any other type of addictive habit, because food is something that's always going to have to be in your life. If you're addicted to alcohol or drugs, you can give those up. You can never give food up. You have to deal with it every day, usually at least 3 times a day. So you need to learn how to trust it and live with it in your life again, unlike any other addiction program where you become sober and you get 30-day sober chips and things like that. So you are exiling that thing from your life. But the biggest difference between food and those other things is that food can be enjoyed and should be enjoyed, and there's a balance that can be reached and should be reached in order to obtain a healthy lifestyle. There's also another 60-ish% of people that make it through without relapsing at all. And even those that do, as I said earlier, that can be taken as a learning experience, in the sense of you can learn what to do when you're feeling the need to relapse again because of how you handled it the first time you relapsed. If you've watched my anorexia story, then you know that I took it upon myself to learn more about the body so I could help myself better during my recovery. But I did still have moments where, usually after a huge meal, my logic kind of went out the window, and I started thinking similar thoughts to what I had when I was dealing with my anorexia. But ultimately, I don't ever worry about a real full-on relapse, because I never will ever forget how miserable I was during that time. And anytime I might have a thought creep in, or I might worry a little bit too much about caloric intake or something like that, I remember how trapped I felt, and that thought alone is scary enough to deter me from going any further. I think that it's important to have a go-to tool that you can call upon when you feel yourself sliding back into old habits. And this is my tool, and I think if you can recall a time where you were absolutely miserable during your eating disorder and can just recall that anytime you feel yourself slipping back, then that can be a huge way for you to avoid a full relapse. If you're in recovery and you feel yourself struggling, I hope that you took the time to watch this and maybe take some of my suggestions into account. Of course, this isn't going to work for everyone, but I hope that you find the tool that works for you. And if you have another tool that you like to use, please feel free to DM me on Instagram or Twitter. And I hope that this video was informative to anyone else watching. And if you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe if you want to see my videos as they come out. And thank you for watching. And I know my energy was super low for this video today, but I really wanted to get a video out and I'm just so exhausted, but I appreciate all of you who are watching and thank you.